What's up? What's up? What's up, guys? You already know who it is. It's Mr. Bridges on top. Man, we're going to talk about basketball this week, man. We really haven't got touched into basketball at all, man. But, it's a new year. We're trying to expand. We're trying to grow. We're trying to do more things than we wasn't doing last year, man. So this is the basketball show. Welcome to the Black Top, man. It's a play on words because it's HBCU. We all colorful and everything. Welcome to the Black Top, where it all started up in New York, man. Them days with Rucker Park and everything. But I like to introduce one of my co-hosts, man. He's a good friend of me. He a mentor, man. I'm talking about he done coached from everywhere you can think of. He done been. He know coaches that your mama know. He know coaches that your grandma know. Man, right now he is one of the assistant coaches for women's basketball at them Spartans. Them Spartans over there. The Spartan ladies, they doing good in the MEAC now. They doing good in the MEAC, man. But welcome our friend, y'all friend, my friend, everybody, Coach K, man.
What's going on, man? How you feeling?
And feeling good, man. Shoot, we hadn't saw you in a long time, man.
Yeah, man. It's that time of year, baby. Been working, man. Been working.
Yes, sir. Been working. So tell the people what you've been doing, because I know you've been gone for a minute. You haven't been on the show in a long time, man. Tell the people what you've been doing.
Yeah, man. Well, we've been working, man, up at Norfolk State. Obviously into conference play right now. Got things going and kicked off our first 3 games of conference play. So just really been getting after it, man. Just, a lot of game planning, a lot of scouting. At the same time, you consistently recruiting. And, just trying to build up the program, man. Doing all the things for Norfolk State women's basketball right now. And stay tuned. We'll have our camp information and all that good stuff coming out in the pipe here soon.
Definitely. And, just us, man. HBCU basketball just been transcending this year. Definitely transcending this year. For me personally, I didn't expect the amount of wins over these quality opponents that we are playing. What can you say about these coaches? What can you say about these teams that, they're competing with some of the mid-tier level teams in the Division I?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'll tell it to anybody, man. There's a lot of parity in HBCU basketball. And I think that our conferences, whether it be the SWAC, the MEAC, or even the Division II play, when you look at the CIAA and the SEAC, I mean, I think we can compete with the best. You look at what North Carolina A&T is doing right now in the Colonial Conference. I think they're undefeated right now, and they're turning it out, and it's not necessarily close games either. They're going and they're getting it done night in, night out. And you just look across both conferences as far as it relates to Division I and what the teams did in the non-conference play, being able to compete in some of the, different conferences, like what Jackson State did against TCU, I believe it was, or Texas Tech.
Yeah.
We're competing, man. We're competing at a high level. We have a great crop of coaches amongst our HBCU ranks, and on any given night, we'll go out there and we'll give somebody, we'll throw the bag. We'll give them everything that we got.
Yeah, as far as this year of basketball, just as far as HBCU sports, I think we've been on a high these past 2 years as far as like football, basketball, even all the sports, baseball, you can go down the line. What mindset has changed? Because I know you're in a coaching position. What mindset has changed for the HBCU level that, okay, we can compete with these schools. We can go out and recruit and beat them with recruiting at these schools. We can have that mindset that we can change and play with these PWIs.
Gotcha. And that's a great question, Rhymes. Well, another thing I'll add, I'm also an HBCU graduate, being a graduate of Florida A&M University. So HBCUs are very near and dear to me personally. But I think that one of the biggest things, man, is we just realize our value. As HBCU, our brand, our institutions, knowing that we can compete with the best as it relates to recruits, or anything in that nature. I mean, just really realizing our value and going out there and putting our foot down and say, you know what, we are who we are, and we're going to go out and we're going to compete with the best. We're going to recruit the best, and we'll go toe-to-toe with anybody. And I mean, just from the administration side, the quality of coaches that has been brought into our conferences in recent years. has just really spoken volumes across all sports, not necessarily just basketball. And so it continues to increase the profile, to continue to increase awareness across all lands about HBCU sports and what we're all about. So I'm gonna tell you now, it's only going to get better from here. Everybody's aware now. You know what I mean? When you think HBCU, you think household name now. And
Yeah.
so, kids are continuing to want to come to HBCUs. You got things evolving such as transfer portals where, kids may have made a decision on the front end, but now they're realizing that, man, my culture is more. I'll tell you a true story. And I don't think I've ever told anybody this story, Ron. So I went undergrad PWI and went to my first master's as a PWI. And one of the first things I said to myself, man, is that, if I ever want to go back for homecoming, which one of my schools would I go to? And the reality of it was, in that specific situation, it was neither of those schools. Having worked in HBCUs, man, and just kind of seeing what that's about, I wanted that culture. I wanted to be a part of something like that, which is why I chose to go and pursue an education at a HBCU. And, so when we talk about, the homecomings and all the rich traditions and things like that, it's nothing better than saying that I graduated from an HBCU and taking pride in my HBCU. So I think student athletes are realizing that. These kids are realizing that, and they're coming back home and they're playing for the HBCUs, and we're going out and we're competing at a high level.
Definitely. But I definitely want to get on this next topic right here. Jackson State. Jackson State actually got an L this year against Prairie View. It's been a long time coming. It's definitely been a long time coming. Coach Reed been doing her thing down there. She's well known around that Jackson State and Mississippi area. So we can't win them all, Coach. Right. That's just reality of life. We wish we could win them all, but we can't win them all.
Right.
How you feel about Prairie View just going out there and getting the dub?
Well, credit to both teams. I'll start with Prairie View. Obviously, they walked away with the victory. Coach Sandy Pugh, know her very well. Does an excellent job year in, year out. And I know that this is a big year for Coach, as she's coming up on her time. But just to go out there and put that game plan together, I had some opportunity to watch bits and pieces of that game. And I mean, I'll tell you, her players were just locked in. They really wanted that game. You could tell start to finish, even when, Jackson State got leads, they never let up. They kept that dog mentality, if you would, and they competed for 4 quarters and came out victorious. As far as Jackson State will be Jackson State. And as long as Coach Tamika reads that to him, there's not going to be any concerns there. As you stated, all good things come to an end, streaks come to an end, all that great stuff. But champions, we used to talk about it all the time around our time together, championship behavior, championship mentality. Yeah. And that's instilled in those young ladies and in that program at Jackson State. So it's without a doubt that they're going to go on and continue to be successful. They're going to, obviously go back and work on those things that they might have felt lacked against Prairie View. But, they're going to get right back on to their normally scheduled programming and continue to do the things that they do for their program.
Definitely. Here's a clip, guys, of what happened at the last couple of seconds of the game. Yeah, and that's how that game folded out for you guys. But Coach K, just looking at that sequence, just looking at how all that went down, what would you do in that predicament if you was in Coach Reed's situation? Would you let it play out? Would you, if you had a timeout, would you call the timeout? Like, what would you do in that sequence time? Because I know you actually been in, we actually been in the fire and the huddle together. So I just want to hear from your word of mouth. What would you do in that situation?
Gotcha. Well, I mean, to Coach Reed's credit, man, she put the ball in her best ball handler's hand. I don't think that she necessarily had any timeout. So, in that situation, I don't know that I would have done anything much differently. You put the ball in your best ball handler's hand and you hope and expect that, she execute one move and get up the court, and get into the half court so that we can execute and we can get us a shot off. But however, Uh, Prairie View came out. They ran that high ball screen. The young lady came off, made a good move to the basket. Got all the way there, a good stretch, laid it in, and then they just got back on defense, man. I mean, you really got to give credit to Prairie View. They stayed locked in. They didn't get overexcited or overjoyed because of that layup. They got right back on defense and they got right back after it, knowing that there was still time there, and they had to finish out the game. So with Coach Reed, I mean, my heart goes out to it. That's a tough situation right there. You would just hope that when you look back at that, obviously you plan a little bit different for that situation. I don't know that Jackson State thought that it may have been in that situation, that specific situation for this particular game. So it's tough. It's tough, but she's a phenomenal coach. She does a great job, and I can guarantee you that they're going to fix whatever those little things might be. They're going to make those tweaks and changes.
Definitely. Like you said, champions. They bounce back. Let's see if these girls can bounce back and have a dominant performance in their next game that's coming up, probably in this coming up week. But let's talk about this, Coach K. I know we've been talking about it all last season. We've been talking about this all, and it still haven't happened yet. Why we don't have a SWAC versus MEAC tournament challenge? So, like, what is going on? I guess we the only people that see it's going to generate money. I guess nobody else sees that it's going to generate money. Why haven't this happened yet?
So I can't speak to why it hasn't happened yet. I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of people in a lot higher seats than the one that I currently sit in right now that makes these type of decisions and determinations. But one thing I'll say, man, I have been hard pressed for quite some time to try to come up with, whether it is a postseason, whether it is a preseason type deal, come up with something similar that would allow or afford the opportunities for HBCUs to come together for the purpose of basketball. And I'll tell my grand vision right here on live. So, at the end of the day, I don't care about credit. Somebody take it and run with it, and please make it happen. But my thought process was, just thinking of a centralized location. Most of our HBCUs are across the southeastern region of the United States. And obviously our home bed where you see the Celebration Bowl played is in Atlanta. And so I always thought Atlanta would be a grand location to have anywhere from 4 to 8 HBCU institutions. Whether it be all Division I, some Division II, some NAIA, that's for the powers that be to determine. But Ron, actually, man, I made steps as far as even reaching out to entities like the Atlanta Dream to see the feasibility of something like that. One of the first things that we have to lock in is obviously a facility. And looking at the Atlanta Dream, proximity, obviously where we want to get to, it's a great venue for something of the nature. And if it would be something that we could potentially sponsor, co-sponsor with the Atlanta Dream, the WNBA, as they continue to try to increase the HBCU brand, I just thought that it would be something that would be great. And we play it out. Like I said, whether it is November, early November, or it's one of those postseason type events, I think that is very feasible because I was actually listening to an HBCU show the other day, and they, talked about the possibility of seeing like a Jackson State women's versus a Howard's women, or, a North Carolina A&T women's versus a Norfolk State women's. So we have all these great competitive teams across these conferences. And I think that people really want to see what that looks like. And, we talk about too, we always talk about to our alumni about finances and resources and things like that. What not a better way to generate revenue for our own institutions? This does not necessarily have to be a one-day event. This could be over the course of a weekend. As we do with celebration bowls, as we do with homecomings, one night can be a battle of the bands. The next night could be a concert of one of our own. And when I say our own, an HBCU graduate. The next night could be a different type of event, maybe something formal, maybe like a HBCU ball. I don't know if anything of that nature exists, but maybe the Friday night coming up to the start of the tournament on the Saturday, that's a possibility. But man, I have grand ideas on this. It's kind of been stuffed down inside. I'm just taking it one game at a time, whatever they put on the schedule. But yeah. I do think it's an excellent idea. I do think it's a great revenue generator, and it's something that hopefully in due time that this will come together and it will be worked out.
Yeah, definitely, man. Just like you were saying, like the grand place, Atlanta is the Black Hollywood. Like, if you want to be around celebrities, if you want to be in the movie industry, Tyler Perry has this, like, I don't know how many acres he had, but they're calling him to make movies. Disney is calling Tyler Perry. Universal Studios is calling Tyler Perry to make movies. So like, why not be in that mecca area where you can capitalize off anything? If you're dealing with any HBCUs, almost all HBCUs alumni are in Atlanta. Like I haven't heard of Howard, Morehouse, even TSU. I'm trying to think of some other entities. Benedict College, if you want to go to smaller. Edward Waters. Almost all alumni are in Atlanta. So just having that central location, like you said, it'll mean the world. Then just having that tournament style weekend, you get Norfolk, you get the Howards, you get Jackson State, you get the Southerns, you get the TCUs, you get the FAMUs. Like, you put them all in one location. 9 times out of 10, your money gonna be made on the first day, because people are showing up, people are buying tickets, people want to go to see Battle of the Bands, people want to go to a concert, people want to do these things because they need, like, this is the perfect time, because we do not have no football.
Right.
And so that means you have to go all in on basketball. You have to go, oh, okay, this is something that we can do in the off season every year, and we don't have to find something to do. We can just go do it.
Absolutely. And another thing I want to mention is that, a lot of times when we talk about, the Celebration Bowl, and even on the Division II side, the CIAA, and the buildup of the tournament, a lot of people look at all the different things and the events that are going on around it. And I think that's kind of been the thing for a long time. I mean, that's HBCU culture, that's tradition, that's what we do. But I also think that we're really, truly in a place now where our product is better than it's probably ever been before. Yeah. And for, people that are, going to be willing to come out and watch these teams because of the product that these coaches and these programs are putting on the floor, I think it's just going to be a huge draw. It's going to be a huge draw. I mean, right now, currently as we speak, obviously 2 of them, but I would say amongst 3 or 4, we're tops in conferences across the country. Our teams are competing at that level. I can't speak enough to what North Carolina A&T is doing. And even, I mean, look right there in the SWAC right now. Obviously Jackson State, they failed yesterday, but we all know that great lineage and recent history of Jackson State women's basketball. They've done some phenomenal things. But then you also got Southern and Prairie View right there at 4-1. These teams are competing at a high level. And I think that their fan bases and our HBCU communities will really come out and embrace them in a tournament platform like we're speaking to.
Shoot, Coach, I want you to speak on this comment. Basketball teams at HBCU makes good money in the playoffs. Football doesn't, and that's true. Football doesn't. I know you know about more of the revenue side of basketball. How that aligns with the tournament and going to the SWAC and MEAC tournament, and how that aligns with basketball making more money than football. Because I know football you have more players, basketball you kind of have less. So just talk about that revenue aspect.
Gotcha. And I'm glad that question is brought up. So, for HBCU basketball in the SWAC and the MEAC, we're considered what they call one bid conferences, where one team, essentially the tournament champion, is going to have the opportunity to go to the NCAA. And then the NCAAs, that's where, the revenue generating is primarily coming from. Ron, what we're speaking to, I think, is where we kind of get a niche for our HBCUs and our HBCU programs, where having an HBCU tournament like what we're speaking to will generate revenue that it can be, it can put in documentation that this money is going to get kicked back directly to our HBCUs, where we're governing it. We're not giving someone else the opportunity to govern what could potentially happen with the financial resources of the tournament. We talk all the time about, we put our product out there and all these different people are showing it, but this is an opportunity where we can control the narrative. We can control the financial resources for our HBCUs, because the point that is made is truly right. Yes, basketball does generate more revenue, but that's primarily for those institutions that are making it into the NCAA tournament, which we know historically has been one institution for the MEAC and one institution for the SWAC.
Gotcha. See, if we had this, tournament in Atlanta, we'll be generating money for all the HBCUs, man. Definitely, definitely. But I want to talk about your Lady Spartans. Looking through y'all schedule, y'all are beating William Mary, Appalachian State. Y'all are beating good competition teams. Like, what are y'all doing now that y'all haven't been doing in the past previous years, as far as practice, as far as rest, as far as like tuning in, film sessions? What do y'all have going on that y'all are head and shoulders above than everybody else?
Gotcha. Well, I wouldn't take it that far to say we're head and shoulders above the MEAC and everybody else. Again, there's a lot of parity out there. There's a lot of great basketball teams and a lot of great basketball coaches, but um, we take our work serious, but not too serious. We know how to have fun with the game, and we never let that lead. Every day we come in with the understanding that we want to get 1% better, and whether it's a weekend that we want to go 1-0 or it's a weekend that we want to go 2-0, we understand the assignment and we go out and we execute. All of our coaches are working extremely hard, as are our players. Much credit to them, man. We have a great group of young ladies that work together, that have the goal in mind, that they want to be successful. And they pretty much committed and dedicated to that. And that's why you're seeing some of the results that you're seeing. On any given night, any of our young ladies can get hot. We've had a lot of success there with multiple double digit scores on the season thus far. And shout out to our head coach and Larry Vickers. Very, very successful career. He's done an excellent job in keeping the continuity on this team. And, things have really been shaping up. Obviously, it's a long road. It's about 14 games here in the MEAC. And thus far, we've only accomplished about 3 of them. So we know that, coming up, big weekend next week, going to Coppin State, going to Morgan State, an undefeated Morgan State team that has competed at a very high level, averaging over 70 points a game. So night in, night out, you have to come with the best version of you. And I think that's one of the things that we've tried to do is be the best version of ourselves, not get so caught up on other teams or other competitors or opponents, but really focusing on us and making sure that we're bringing our best self and being Norfolk State Spartans every night. That's our ultimate goal. And hopefully, if we do those things and we do those things right, we'll come out with the results that we want. So thus far, it has worked out very good for us. Our non-conference, started out really hot. Had a 6-point loss there to Penn State in our second game of the season, but then really went on a run. As you mentioned, kind of knocking out some CAA teams. I think we saw some Sun Belt teams. We've actually only faced one non-Division I team so far this year, and currently our record stands at 15-3. So our ladies are continuing to work hard, man. We get excited about practice. That old saying about, it's not work if you enjoy what you're doing. Well, what's also important is where you're doing it at and the people that you're doing it with. And we have a great group, man, a very family-like bond, and we're going to continue to work for each other so that we can get the results that we want for our program.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And I want to talk about the boys. The boys just, I think they just took an L to Howard. Did you watch that game, or did you see that game transfold as far as how Howard boys are doing and how the Spartan boys are doing?
Yeah, I did have the opportunity to watch that game, and it was a very interesting game to say the least. I'll tell you, Norfolk State Spartans, man, we have a great head coach in Robert Jones, and also a great men's basketball coaching staff. There are no concerns up here in Norfolk, Virginia right now. All is well. Behold, as we like to say, those guys will get right back on track. Obviously, they fell yesterday to a good Howard team, and I got to give coaches credit, man. He's done a great job. He came into the MEAC about when I initially came into the MEAC. So I'm proud of everything that he's accomplished so far with that Howard program, and just continue to work. I mean, he has some really good pieces there. Some transfers came in from University of Maryland, and the guys really look good, and they played hard. They were competitive in both halves. Actually, Norfolk State had gotten a pretty good lead on them, but they continue to fight. And that's one thing I'll say about all of our HBCU institutions. If you play us, you better be ready to play for 4 quarters, 2 halves. It's not going to end in the first. I can assure you that. So they did that. And at the end of the day, they got the nod and they got the victory. But Norfolk State men's, they're truly a household name. What they've done over the last couple of years, winning back-to-back MEAC conference championships, making that tournament berth into the NCAAs, speaks volumes to the work and is a testament to what those guys are doing every single day. So no concerns there. They will be very, very successful. They will continue to do the things that they do and staying true to themselves.
Okay, cool. And I got a question for you, Coach K. This is just a question that just popped up in my head. recruiting, I know it's different for every team. I know it's different for every entity. I know it's different from football. Basketball recruiting, how hard is it to recruit for basketball? Because some people really don't know the give and gab of recruiting. Some people really don't know what goes on into basketball recruiting. So like, what is like the key thing for HBCUs to at least get these better athletes, or at least to reach the top 200 athletes that are in the nation, instead of going to North Carolina, Duke, Virginia, Maryland, all these other big schools? What can the HBCU do better so we can have these basketball schools and hound in on these basketball schools and actually be in the tournament?
Gotcha. And thanks for that question. So the first thing, man, I like to bring up is that just the level of importance with recruiting. When you're talking about basketball, collegiate level basketball, Division I basketball, recruiting and scheduling is paramount. If we don't realize the importance of recruiting in our program, that's going to be problem number one. We can be whomever, Pat Summit, Gino Ariema, you name it, as far as the X's and O's, putting together practice plans, executing different things in practice. But at the end of the day, if we don't have players, ultimately your success might not be what you want it to be, because that's just how important recruiting is. But recruiting is very intentional. Every program in America has different needs. You might have, great guards, but you need more post presence. You might or vice versa. Recruiting is, it's meticulous. It takes work. It takes time. It's not something that just happens overnight. If you want to be good at it, I would say. It's an evaluation of the talent on the court as well as off the court. You're looking at how potential prospects fit into your system, or if they fit into your system. Are you more of an ISO type team, or are you more of a system team? Well, can they remember plays? Can they execute in a system? There's so many things, so many variables. Having the opportunity to have worked in multiple different programs and under different supervisors, as well as serving as a head coach, I've had the opportunity to see, okay, teams that were very system-like versus teams that were not so system-like, if you will. And you want to recruit players that are ultimately going to be successful in that system. One of the realities that we're facing now too is that, like we said, the transfer portal earlier. So ultimately, kids, coaches, everybody wants to be happy. You know what I mean? So I think that you do your work on the front end. We tell players all the time as coaches, do your work early. Well, doing your work early as a coach is out there in recruiting, ensuring that those student athletes are going to fit and be a great piece into your program and what you do as a team. It can be a kid out there that I love to death, can go cross, 20 behind the back, to the rim, reversal, this, that, and the other. But if she can't remember a set, if she doesn't understand the dribble handoff, if she doesn't understand the UCLA cut, an Iverson cut, if she doesn't have a basketball IQ, she's not going to be able to compete, unfortunately, probably here at Norfolk State University. Just because of the way that, Coach Vickers has built this system. It's high IQ players. That's what we're essentially looking for, that truly understands the game. And so every program is different. I see programs out here that have a lot of success, optimal success, that are based on athleticism. That's what they recruit. That's what they go after. And they have been successful in doing that. So it really varies program to program. But one of the keys is ensuring that, that term saying we're looking for best available, that rolls off a lot of coaches' tongues very easily. But best available might not always be what's best for your team. So recruiting is very in detail. It takes time. Like I said, building relationships. You want to make sure that you know that recruiter is about as good as you can per a Zoom or face call, or about as many visits as you can make to that high school or to that home. You don't want to necessarily get any surprises when they step foot into your campus. And you want to know how they can contribute to your team. So, just working out those details, like I said, it's a process. It's not just the going out in the summers. It's not just the watching the highlights and things like that we receive via email, but it's actually being diligent and intentional about that process to make sure that we are getting what's best, not only for our program, but for the institution as well.
Definitely. And you touched on it a little bit, that transfer portal. I know that was something new for you as far as being a coach, and like, transfer portal, what's really going on? How do you feel about transfer portal? And what was your thoughts when you first heard about the transfer portal and how free game it is right now?
Gotcha. Well, Well, I tell you, I got a recruiter's mentality. So when I heard about the transfer portal, I was like, let's go. Let's go. I've spent my last years in HBCUs, and we always trying to find ways to level the playing field. And
Yeah,
I feel like to some degree, transfer portals have allowed us to do that. I truly believe in our culture and our tradition at HBCUs. And so as a recruiter, it's a very easy thing for me to sell. Something that I have embraced personally. I went and got a degree from an HBCU and I know what it's all about. So selling that culture, selling that tradition, selling what it's all about, on to a student athlete that has maybe went to an institution that didn't really feel like, let's just say that the atmosphere did not necessarily cater to who they were. It's grand for us, and the opportunity to be able to play right away after a one-time transfer is truly grand. You look at our SWAC and our MEAC programs, they have really capitalized on the transfer portal. It's been
yeah,
big for us. I'll speak to my own team. We having Deja at the point guard position coming from St. Bonaventure, or Camille Downs, one of our leading scorers, coming from UNCW. The transfer portal has really opened up opportunities specifically for our HBCUs. Now, some coaches still have the mindset that I'm going to start young and I'm going to develop players. And for some institutions, they have still been very successful. So there is no right 100% way to do this thing. There's what's the old saying? There's more than one way to skin a cat.
yep.
There's a lot of different ways to be successful, but the transfer portal has definitely changed the game. It's definitely changed recruiting. As you look at JUCOs, as you look at high school student athletes and prospects, the roster sizes are still the roster sizes. That's the one thing that has not changed. And so, you're making sure that you pay attention to all those different avenues. In my mind, it's just another resource that I can utilize to make my program the absolute best that it can be. Yes, a lot of people do say, it is hurting high school players because, again, roster sizes have not changed. But for some of us, it's an opportunity to go find that diamond in the rough. Probably would have been a high mid-major, low BCS type player that now we can go and possibly attract to our HBCU institutions. So it works on both ends. Yes, it might hurt them, but it also might help them and help our institution specifically.
Definitely. I know we was talking about this transfer portal a couple of weeks ago on the pre-snap read, and like I say, it does hurt that high school athlete if they want to go to that big program. But at the end of the day, will that big program be a fit for you?
Right.
Yeah. So
Maybe
so so like you want to go to the Dukes, you want to go to North Carolina, you want to go to these big schools. But at the end of the day, are you going to be playing your senior year, or do you want to at least play 3.5 years so you
right.
can develop? You know what a game situation is like, and okay, it's 2 minutes left on the clock. We down by 5. What do I got to do? I've been in this situation before. Or you just in your senior year at North Carolina, we got 2 minutes left. I only did this in practice. I'm kind of nervous. I don't know what to do. I hope I do it right. So it gives and it takes at different schools and at different areas, especially for the HBCU. We really been capitalizing on all sports: football, basketball, baseball. You can name it. Like just going off of football, as far as Jackson State, FAMU, Grambling, Southern, South Carolina State, North Carolina Central, Howard, North, just naming off all the schools, it really did help them to get the athletes that they truly needed so they can go out there and compete every day. And like right now, it's definitely helping basketball a lot, especially HBCU basketball, because that one player can change your team. Literally, just that one player. You come from a 500 team, and that one player coming on your team can get you to the SWAC championship or the MEAC championship or the tournament, man. So I believe it helps. Even the high school player can help you because you never know how they can develop at the end of the day because they're new, they're fresh, they're green behind the ears. They trying to soak in everything in that like a sponge, and they can help at the end of the day. But it does hurt them. But I feel like it's a help because it lets the kid know that I can do it, and if I want to go to a bigger program, I can.
Yep, yep. And I mean, like I said too, man, there's also JUCOs there. It helps JUCOs as well because now a lot of those kids that they were going after in high school, they have opportunities at. And those are programs that a lot of our Division 1 and Division 2 and NIA NAIA institutions still look at. So opportunities are endless, man. It's all about mindset. You can either, have a fixed mindset, or you can have a growth mindset and say whatever it is that I want, that I feel is for me, I'm going to go get. So the opportunities are certainly there, but it's changed the game. Like you said, it's flat out changed the game across all sports, specifically for HBCU. Right now, every day I put on the green and the gold. I rock with Norfolk State. So at the end of the day, I'm going to go get what's best for Norfolk State, and that's whether that's a high school player, a JUCO player, or a transfer portal player.
Definitely, definitely. And I know, Coach, you're in the middle of the season. Because I know I'm in tune with you. What fun things have you did with your team? Because I know I saw the fun things that you have done as a coach, as far as on Instagram and other stuff. I want to let the people know that basketball is just not about X's and O's and going to practice. What fun activities to do with your team to get them relaxed, to get to know you as far as a coach, or just to get team building?
Gotcha, man. Thanks for that, man. You got me digging into this book I want to write one day, man. Because I can't stress enough how important that is, man. We expect a lot of our student athletes, with the obviously the workload of being a college student first and foremost, having practices, having scout, having film, having individual workouts, having small group workouts. And a lot of times, I've been on staffs, and I often feel like I'm introducing the ideal of let's love on the student athlete. We have so much expectation of them, and we want to pull so much out of them, but at the same time, we want to love on them. So glad that you brought that up, man. Some of the things we've done quite a few things here this year. I'll start with, most recently coming off the holiday. We did our thing where we had our Christmas and our New Year celebration, and we did it at Coach's home because we like a more intimate setting, if you will. We want to let our players know that, it is a lot more than basketball, and we truly do love and care for you. So, man, we had a good time. We did a gift exchange, so everybody enjoyed that. Just a lot of fun. We got coming up here, we got planned out a skating night. Man, I like to call myself Sweetness, like off the movie on the skates. So really looking forward to that opportunity, man, to get out there and roll bounce a little bit. I was raised up in Atlanta, you know what I mean? So Golden Glide was a regular type thing for me. So excited to get out there and show the ladies that not just on the court, but Coach Kel will get out here on these four wheels and show you what it is too. So little things like that, man. Look, we like the human aspect, man. It can't always be, rah, do this, do that. But at the end of the day, man, they're human, man. They want to be loved on, man. So we really have to pour into that. We are humans, man. That's just who we are. And so that's a big, big part of programs, man. Anytime we have the opportunity, let's say we're going somewhere, to be able to show our young ladies things that may be historic in nature, or just may be able to add value to their perspective, we're definitely going to take advantage of those different opportunities. So that's who we are, man. And we're going to continue to do those things because we truly believe in building up the total person, not just the athlete.
Definitely. And Jay Brown got a question. Basically, this question was saying, how can we get more attendance for these, women's basketball games, man? Like, what can we do? I mean, for me, I'll go first, and I'm gonna let you go because you're inside looking out. So I'm outside looking in. I'm trying to use some marketing mind. I think we need to have more intimate setting as basketball games. Like, I know our gym, like for me, go to FAMU. Let's have it in Gaither Gym. Let's have an old school night. Let's pack that out a couple of times. Let us appreciate that other gym that we do have. I think we need to go more intimate settings. I think it needs to be more of a what can we do for the fans instead of how many tickets can we sell. If you look at it like what can we do for the fans and what can engage the fans more, that I think that will be a more of a sale than anything. Like, HBCUs always, we have celebrities from here and there. Why not somebody come on the sideline and just watch the game? Why can't you just call Common down? Hey, can you come here for a weekend? Blah, blah, blah. Boys and girls basketball game, and do a little round during halftime, whatever, or during transition, during game. Like that, like just little things like that. Like, I think we lack, I think really all HBCUs lack marketing. And Dion showed us how to legit market our value. And I think a lot of HBCUs lack marketing and how to sell a team, how to sell a basketball game, just how to sell the product of sports.
Ron, you struck a nerve there. So that's something, man, I have been big on since I have been in coaching collegiate basketball. So Jay Brown, man, good brother, does a lot to support FAMU, man. The one thing I'll tell you, marketing is everything. And it starts with everybody in that program and around that program and all of the stakeholders. Until I got to Norfolk State, every institution that I had been at thus far, I started their social media campaigns. I will humbly say that. Whether it was their Twitter, their Instagram, their Facebook, these things did not exist. You cannot expect somebody to know something that you didn't tell them. It's like I always say about kids. You can't expect them to know what right looks like if you never showed them what right looks like. It has to be, it's intentional. It's getting on, it's taking the time, it's keeping your fans or prospective fans informed of what's going on. It's getting them to buy into the process. Just as coaches, we get players to buy into whatever we want to happen within our programs. We're getting buy-in from our fans, and it's selling it through our marketing approaches. We're now living in a technology advanced world where everything is happening, through social media. And if you're not using those mediums or those different channels, you're truly doing your programs a disservice, especially when you're talking about fans and truly growing the game. In the women's basketball sector, that's been an intentional focus for the past couple of years, continuing to increase the brand to grow the game. And so whether it's different initiatives, one of the things that I've always said is when you have things, whether it be, military appreciation, public service, Greek night, different things like that, you really have to sell that. You can't just put that on the website and expect people going to come because you put it on the website. Mm-hmm. What other measures, what steps have you taken to let people know that this is taking place at our institution in our facility tonight? Are you really driving the mission, or do you think that just, putting it up on the website, okay, we're going to turn tonight into Greek night, has done enough? Are you reaching out to our Divine Nine, getting those leaders from those different fraternities and sororities to come out and support your campaign, bringing their youth leagues, like your Kappa leagues, for example. It has to be very intentional. I see a lot of times too, I've seen a couple of times where we've had education day games where those are primarily to have K through 12 students have the opportunity to come out on a field trip and to support our teams. And pretty much they just go crazy. They have a great time. But too often I don't see us having these enough. And I don't know if it's because of the initiative not there to really embrace the community and bring them in. But when you're talking about going to game and just putting fans in the seats, I'll put the onus on us all, we have to do a better job of really marketing what we have going on. I'm not the best. I don't know it all. I haven't wrote the book yet, but I do my best to put my program out there. I want to let people know what these young ladies are doing, how we're excelling or how we might have had a short fallback. It's not all about when we're victorious, but it's also when we have lumps and bruises as well. We just have to do a better job of putting our programs out there. Especially your home games. Get your students involved. When I was at FAMU, I used to do a thing, on Twitter where every home game I would, buy a student on the campus lunch. You get so many students involved. Okay, all these students attending games. Okay, I'm gonna give one student lunch that's attending the game today. And so, you have all these people, oh, I want to get the free lunch. I want to get the free lunch. But at the same time, they're coming to the game and they're supporting our program. So when our student athletes look up into the stands, they're seeing, all of their peers supporting them. So it just has to be intentional. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but somebody has to really take it and own it.
Definitely. You like last night, I was just thinking as far as FAMU, we have LeBron. Howard has Jordan. I think y'all have Nike. I don't know which one is it? Nike. So we have these contracts with these big clothing shoe brands. Even for FAMU, how hard it is to get LeBron during the summer to run a summer camp with at least top 500 athletes of his picking, for basketball. To me, I don't know, because I'm outside looking in. To me, it's not that hard to email somebody or just to keep emailing somebody, hey, this. Putting it on social media, letting people know, hey, I'm emailing LeBron's team and he's not answering. Or I'm emailing LeBron's team and nobody's picking up the phone, or nobody's doing this, or nobody's doing that. To me, it's like, why don't people take that initiative to make these athletes want to buy in HBCUs, but we don't take initiative to like go and try to, hey, can y'all do this for me? I think it's hard for us to ask questions, and I don't know why that is. Like for Howard, I know Steph Curry promotes their golf team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure 9 times out of 10, it's not hard to have a Steph Curry, golf camp / Steph Curry basketball camp at Howard. I'm pretty sure it's not that hard. But I think it's in our mind, we have Ed Reed said it. We don't have the money making mentality to go out there and do it. We're stuck in the old dinosaur HBCU ways. If we ain't did it, we're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think we need to literally like get fresh faces, get people that literally like endows themselves in the marketing and learn from them and go out there and actually do it so we can better our attendance for these basketball games. So why haven't LeBron James hasn't came to FAMU yet? I do not know why. I don't know if people been hitting him up. To me, it's asinine. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, and look, I mean, this is the thing, and now you got me putting on my athletic administrator hat. My last role that I served in was as an athletic director. Even in that role, we have to be very intentional. All the things that you're saying are things that I, religiously did for my programs, trying to get people into the door. And I'm gonna tell you, we grew the game quite a bit in the setting that we were in. I mean, we saw our ticket increase in revenue generate like crazy, quadrupling the numbers. All efforts have to be intentional. And I would hope that our athletic administrators continue to surround themselves with people that, does have that mindset, that are going to go out, and that's one of the things too. So in HBCUs, our athletic administrations are sometimes built a little bit different than our PWIs. If you look at PWIs, I can't name one in the country that does not have an external operations athletic director. External operations are those people that are out there, on the ground in the community, trying to find those partnerships to be able to bring more back to our institutions. They're also the ones, you have special projects individuals that are out there trying to garner those LeBron James relationships and getting those different individuals in there. But as we know at HBCUs, we do more with less. That's who we are. That's what we do. So it's really just someone owning that. We talk about Deion, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But one of the things that Deion did was he really sold the brand of Jackson State University to where at any given time you can go on Twitter or any social media website and Jackson State is trending. It still continues to trend. Not to say that it wasn't doing so before, because it has always been a household brand. I will say that, and I'm not going to take that from them. Yeah. But it just has to be intentional, Ron. I mean, all it takes was somebody to take the initiative to say that I'm going to do this. Okay, if I'm an athletic director, I'm going to take 10 names today, whether it be LeBron James, Steph Curry, you name them. And I'm going to reach out to every last one of their PR representatives, and I'm going to continually do this. I'm going to also try to reach them on social media. It's intentional. All of our efforts have to be intentional about the things that we want and desire. They say prayers have to be specific. Okay, when we have hopes and desires, okay, we need to be specific and intentional about the things that we're doing to attain them as well.
Definitely. But yeah, that was grinding my gears the other day, man. I was like, why haven't he touched foot on campus? Because that would be how can I say it? That would just be in a whole event in itself, as far as just athletes, as far as the Nike brand, and just as far as LeBron himself, just stepping foot in Tallahassee, stepping foot in the HBCU space. Not that is a D1 space, not that is Ohio State or Duke or North Carolina. He actually stepped foot at FAMU, and he may step foot on this campus again. We just don't know. We have to be there because we want to see him. We want to see him engaging with the fans. We want to see him engaging in the game. So that's just one aspect that I had my mind wrapped around on a couple of days. But Coach, what else you got coming up this week, man? I know you got a couple of games. I know you're looking forward to some stuff coming up this week, man. Tell folks what you got going on.
Yeah, man. Well, big week coming up. Two conference games. Playing against, I believe it's number 2 and 3 or 2 and 4 in our conference currently in Morgan State and Coppin State. So excited to play those competitions, man. Those great HBCU programs. Just really grinding it out, man. Obviously tomorrow, we recognize MLK. And super excited about that, man. Excited about that every year. Everything that he's done for us. It's truly a time to reflect and think about all the good that he gave in his time. And hopefully we all aspire to do the same thing. So it should be a pretty good week, man. Starting out with MLK and then obviously, like I said, ramping it up and headed to Baltimore this weekend. So man, just excited about that. Getting back to normalcy. We start class this week.
Ooh,
So our students return back to class, and I'm still continually in class, still working. Been a student my entire life, so man, that's what's going on right now in our world, man. Just trying to fight this thing out, getting ready in preparation for that MEAC tournament in March.
definitely. Me and my crew gonna be covering y'all in the tournament. What I got coming, like you said, MLK Day tomorrow. Shout out to all the people that's doing stuff for MLK, the parades, the balls, the conferences. Make sure y'all people be safe out there. Thank you to the MLK family. I want to say that too. Yeah, I got a player interview coming up tomorrow. Then, got my weekly show, the pre-snap read. Yeah, things are coming good. And Coach K, we almost coming on our 1 year anniversary in March, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, coming on our 1 year anniversary in March. It's been a long time coming, man.
That's what's up, man. That's good stuff, man. Super, super happy, man. Super proud of you, bro. I mean, just watching you take leaps and bounds, man, and really owning this. What you're doing for HBCUs, continue to spotlight, continue to, giving them great exposure, uplifting them, man. I can't thank you enough as an alumni of an HBCU. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Love watching the show, man. Love, everything that you guys are doing. Just keep doing what you're doing, man, and keep your passion first and doing it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hopefully, I can have the whole crew, locked in time when we come back together. I
Yes,
know
sir.
people be doing a lot of stuff on the weekend, but thank you, Coach K. Thank y'all in YouTube land for showing up, man. This is a Black Top. We'll definitely be doing some more shows coming up. Definitely gonna get Coach K back on before March Madness start because I know that's a whole crazy, crazy month for you guys. But thank you, YouTube land. Peace out, love, bow, guys.